There we go. We are live. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. First off, we hope you can hear us, and we apologise in advance for the production quality. We're breaking all the rules using natural light, which we may lose, and also using the laptop's inbuilt microphone because we're just
in bed.
We're in bed. We're too tired to get the mic.
Liz and Loz in bed. Basically, you guys are joining us in our hotel room.
Pillow talk.
We have had a great weekend.
Oh, it's been so good. And we wanted to come live now while it's still so fresh before we start the journey home, just because it really has been incredible, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been an emotional, tiring weekend.
Roller coaster of a ride.
Just so many stories, so many, amazing people.
Yeah.
Obviously proud of all my clients who did amazing, but not just my clients. The Strongman community, the strength community, is just something that I've been a part of for 20 years now. And you come to these type of events and it's just so cool. You see your friends, see people that inspire you, you see lots of, you guys that come and support everyone at these events. Looking at the way the sport's evolved, the production, when you kind of work for Rogue, reading some of the positive comments, it's just really nice to see. And yeah, as always, Sunday night, we thought we need to come join you guys and talk all about it.
Except this time it's afternoon for us. It's 4 p.m, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we're going to have a lovely chilled out evening. At 6 p.m, we're having drinks in Jan Todd's room, which isn't as weird as it sounds because her room is like an office with like a lounge, isn't it? So lots of people will be there. And then after that, we're going out for dinner with Mitch and Ashley, which would be really nice. So, but we wanted to have a chat with you guys first. Let's see who's
Let me just make sure that people can hear us, okay?
Yeah, I checked already.
Good.
There we go. There's no, we can't hear you comments this time. Oh, thank God. As Andrea got to say, what a great comp. So pleased for Rebecca. Team Loz done good. Yeah, Rebecca Roberts, bless her. She was the alternate, but from day one, she trained like she would be competing and never took her foot off the gas, did she? And it paid off.
We have a soft spot for Rebecca, don't we?
Yeah, we always have done.
Really like Rebecca, and spent a bit of time with her earlier today.
Yeah.
But I was kind of teasing her because watching her log, the technique's poor.
Yeah.
But she's so strong.
She's so strong, she can sort of get away with it.
Watching that Wheel of Pain was incredible. And the great thing with Rebecca, because she has these technical flaws, if you like, that are areas that can improve on, it's quite a scary thought of how much better she can still get.
Yeah, exactly.
So to come second as the alternate in probably the strongest lineup of women we've ever seen.
Definitely.
Just
in
amazing.
One show. Yeah. Ken, hey, managed a photo of Loz and Liz at my first ever Strongman show. We're pleased to do it.
All right, we've got a super chat from Finest Jelly Beans Straw.
Jelly Beans Raw.
Jelly Beans Raw.
Thank you so much for the super chat.
Thank you very much.
Great commentary by Jerry and Laz. Thoughts on the stone throw? Saw that Andrea wasn't impressed.
We've all had a chat about the stone throw. I found it boring to watch the stone throw. And I think the reason why is because when you looked at the athletes coming, you could kind of, when they come for the log, when they come for the frame, the deadlift, the Wheel of Pain, there's excitement, there's passion, there's kind of determination.
Yeah.
A lot of the athletes were just kind of approaching this like, what's this? You could see the confusion. They weren't sure what to do. And I think it was maybe just too many throws, 60 throws to get through for the two groups. It just kind of, after such an immense kind of deadlift event, I just found it a little bit flat. And I've spoken to, Jan Todd and organizers, and spoke to athletes, people watching. And I think, I might be wrong, and let me know if you guys kind of really enjoyed it. But from my perspective, I think even from a competitor's point of view, where the athletes that did well still didn't enjoy it that much.
Yeah. I think the hardest thing is not knowing how someone's done just by looking, having to wait for the time. It's just a little bit anticlimactic, I thought. Yeah,
but you have to try new things sometimes, and it's important to try and bring new events.
Yeah,
like I spoke to Jan earlier, and I kind of questioned when they brought the yoke into the log, the Rogue Invitational. But that ended up being an event that I really enjoyed watching, and I thought was really cool having those two elements put together. This one I didn't think worked as well, but I'm just one person. Let us know what you guys think, because that's more important sometimes, you know.
Well, yeah, of course, yeah.
I'm just kind of going on how it came across to me.
I've been reading comments online, and I think that's the general consensus.
Okay.
Loz is in charge of comments today, by the way. So
what do you mean I'm in charge of comments?
You're kind of doing the scrolling.
It's because it's on my lap. Lesbians assemble. Oh dear. Mateus was so close. How good was it to see Mateus back?
Yeah, it was really good. 3 event wins as well, you know. Like, he's definitely back, and he was actually, like, you know, he did his usual sort of hands on hips thing after some of them, but I think he was like, okay, I'm at about 60% and I've come second at the Arnold. So I think actually he's quite happy for him, considering he's come second again. Yeah, it's great, and it's a good sign of things to come for Mateus at Worlds this year, because I think that will actually be a bit better for him.
Yeah. Hey Ben, thank you for commenting, buddy. What a show! Great to see Mitch win, and Tom Evans. A lot of people's view, a lot of people's radar now. Thomas Evans, what a beast!
Do you know what? I was banging on about him last year after the Arnolds and the Shaw Men's Opens, but then unfortunately for him, probably the biggest show for him, the OSG, which could have got him to Worlds, he had a bad day. But like, it was so good to see him. Like, he beat Tom, Luke, Kevin,
let's think like what he's done in the last year. He won the Amateur Arnolds.
Yeah.
He won the Shaw Classic Open.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, didn't perform maybe at his best at OSG.
I think he came 8th at OSG, so he made the final.
OSG was
it was absolutely stacked. He just had a bad day as well, you know.
And then he's come to the Arnold and placed 5th in his first pro show
beating huge
you know,
names.
You're talking about 10 of the best guys in the world.
Yeah, yeah, and he proved that he clearly belongs in that level of athlete pool.
You know, a lovely guy as well.
Really nice guy, and you know, 5th at the Arnold. Who knows? The Rogue Invitational may be next for him. He's doing the Shaw Classic later this year, so we're going to see more of Thomas, and really excited about him because, like you say, he's a really nice guy, which always helps.
It does help, you know. It's not the be all and end all, but it certainly
it
makes
cool
you.
Person.
I always support people more when they're nice.
Yeah, it makes me root for someone.
I don't really care that much about how good someone is. I'll respect someone for their ability, but to me, what that person is like is more important.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and
we like people, don't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a cool guy.
Yeah.
Toby, hope you're doing well, buddy. Thank you. What's we got? Good evening, Liz and Loz. What a comp that was for both the men and the women. Yeah, let us know what you guys thought, because this is the first time the women have been on this stage.
Yeah.
I actually found the women's competition so entertaining.
Actual Strongman fans that I've seen comments from, it's been like overwhelmingly positive. The only bad comments I've seen have been from small, sad little people. And that's, you know, unfortunately, whenever the strong women are out, it brings out the trolls.
So Alex is asking, what are your opinions on Paro Dwyer's post about saying it's wrong to be disappointed with athletes when they underperform? Have you seen this post by Pa?
Yeah, Pa shared a comment from someone saying, as a Stoltman's fan, disappointed to see them underperform. And Pa was like, don't be disappointed in people. It's really hard to be strong all the time. I think, like, you know, I think the comment was actually harmless enough that person said, like, when you're rooting for someone, it's okay to be disappointed if they don't perform. But I obviously understand Pa's perspective as well, because I'm married to someone who, you know, was doing it for God knows how long. And
I've been in this position before where you go to a competition and it doesn't go how you expect or how you plan. And as an athlete, you are devastated inside.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You know, I competed in an era when it wasn't as popular as it was now. And I used to feel if I had a bad performance, I felt like I'd let my family down. I felt like I let like the fans down, the people around me. And now there's even more people watching. There's pressure on these athletes all the time. And let's remember, you're talking about 10 of the best guys in the world in a competition. Luke had a bad day, you know? Yeah. Like, you could compete. You could run this show back next week and have a different result. And we said this in our prediction show. You know, we always thought that Mitch and Kilishkovsky were the two favorites based off events.
Yeah.
And then it was like I think we said between 3rd and 8th could be anyone.
Yeah, but do you know what? Like, in my scoring, I had Trey off of the podium and so many people came for me and like, you're underestimating him. But I knew those last 2 events would be like, I had him doing incredibly well, and then no.
And it's not
it's
just
just
like
events.
It's not like we don't like Trey. You take that frame carry out and you put stones in as the last event.
Yeah, it changes
suddenly
everything.
Trey becomes the favorite of that competition.
Everything, exactly.
And it's why I say all the time how important events are in strongman. You go to a different competition, different events, and these guys can beat each other with the same events on a different day. But Trey, when you look at what he's really, really good at, not so good at, his frame last year was terrible. And unfortunately, it's not improved in the last year. But you take that frame out and you put a front hold in there, you put a squat in there, you put stones in there. Suddenly, Trey is the heavy favorite of that competition. You take a deadlift out and put stone to shoulder in there, Kinishkovsky becomes the favorite of that competition. You can just do these small changes, and the standard's so close that this athlete comes up here and this one kind of slips down. And it's sorry, the block.
Don't mind me.
So believe me when I'm telling you, these athletes are devastated when things don't go to plan.
They don't want to look bad. They don't want it on their track record that they did
rubbish. I know from personal experience, and you shouldn't. As an athlete, you really shouldn't, because you are giving 100%. You really are. And regardless, people say, "Oh,
sometimes
took
it's
time
not
off."
enough.
Well, maybe as an athlete, they needed that time off. And Tom now and Luke will want to build on this and work towards World's Strongest Man. Believe me when I tell you, they both want to win.
Oh yeah, they do.
Talking to them backstage, Luke was in tears after that log.
He was.
Yeah. You're not looking at someone that didn't turn up. We've seen sometimes he has turned up just to, in the past.
To be there, yeah.
He's not willing to do that anymore because of the comments he's seeing it. He wanted to perform at this show. He was third last year. He believed he could come in with these events and do really well.
Let's not forget as well, Luke is considerably older than most of the other athletes, and his recovery just wasn't as good after the Wheel of Pain.
Talking to Luke, he felt like he came in a bit too big.
Yeah.
His fitness wasn't where it needed to be.
Yeah.
If it was just the log, probably be good to be that size. But because he'd already done those events beforehand, he felt a bit drained. He cleaned the log and he just saw stars.
Yeah. Yeah. He went dizzy, and then he just couldn't recover quick enough. Like, you waste so much energy when you keep trying. It just got worse and worse for him. It was really sad to watch.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll move on from that one.
Yeah.
Why Pavlo will compete at Europe's and World's Strongest Man? Yes, I believe he will.
Yeah. Don't think it's like an actual injury, like a tear or something like that. We don't believe that to be the case. But his knee was hurting him a bit in the warm-ups for the deadlift, and he'd already put forward a huge number for his opening lift, and you miss it. His options were either he's got 3 minutes to try it again, which wasn't enough time, or he had to go up to his next weight. So
I think Pavlo made a mistake. If you kind of feel that it's not there in his warm-ups, you should have bought that.
He should have put a banker.
But that's experience. Remember, he's the youngest athlete competing in that competition.
Yeah.
If he went in and thought, okay, let's just focus on getting 6th or 7th place on the deadlift, his overall would have been
gone through the roof.
But it's hard to do that sometimes. You can be stubborn as an athlete. You can kind of ignore these signs that your body's giving you and think, I'm just going to push and push. But didn't pay off for him on this occasion.
Yeah. And he's used to choosing numbers on deadlift. Obviously, he's come through powerlifting, but he wouldn't have done that on day 2 of a meet, having done the Wheel of Pain and the log lift. And that log, oh my goodness, it must have taken a bit out of him, because that was
he went for the paused push press, which is a very legitimate training method to improve your technique. You just got to remember that's not how you do it in competition.
But that's just inexperience, but it shows his potential and how strong he is to muscle through that. It was very impressive, I thought.
Yeah. Ron Chopped, loved the show. Loz is one hell of a coach. Thank you very, very much. But it's easy to look good as a coach when you've got great athletes.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate the nice comments. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, Christine, stone throw was like watching paint dry.
Oh, sad. Stone throw boring, no good, says Lee.
Stone throw no good. Actually, there we go. We've got a positive for the stone throw. I actually like the stone throw, but thought 3 throws per athlete made it go way too long.
We thought that it would have to be a maximum of 2 throws. With 20 athletes as well, 60 times. It felt like a lot.
Love the commentary. It works so well. What a team. Thank you very much. So Sean Woodland is such a pro to work with. That guy just makes mine and Jerry's job so easy. And working. What is going on out there?
Oh, it's
We've got
just
a party going on down on the road. Working with Jerry was really cool. It was just like chatting away with your mate.
Yeah.
And the fact I've been able to work with Sean quite a few times now is so good. He's just a real professional, amazing at leading commentary, which means I can focus on what I enjoy, which is more the strongman specifics and the technical side of things. But yeah, I really enjoy working with this team, and all of them are amazing.
They're really professional.
Hopefully it comes across well. I always, in my head, I'm like, why did you say that? Why did you do this?
You're your own worst critic, aren't you?
And I will defend myself slightly in that you've got voices in your ears telling you stuff, things.
Producer in your ear, yeah.
You've got to kind of work on timings. You've got to do all these things that are going on.
Yeah, you've got to pay attention to what Sean's saying or what Jerry's saying.
You may be kind of trying to kind of explain something, and because something else is coming up, you've got to wrap it up quickly.
Yeah.
So there is a lot more to it than just being able to chat like we are now.
Yeah.
But and you guys know, me and Liz like to talk sometimes and go off on a tangent. But
yeah, you can't do that on a stream.
In bed, this should be on OnlyFans.
I mean, if you guys are willing to pay to watch this,
we have
no
money. I kind of just jumped, but sorry. There we go. There's Karu is in the house. Howdy, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Get yourself over for the deadlift.
He must get so fed up.
We're gonna keep badgering him.
Yeah, hounding him.
We want to meet him, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Never met him. Yeah. Although we'll be back in Estonia in the summer, won't we?
Yeah. I like that Road tried a new event, but agree it didn't work. Move on and try something else next year. Yeah, I agree.
They're very responsive. I mean, last year, I think the squat is brilliant. Like, so many Strongman fans want to see a squat, but
it just went on.
It went on far too long. Yeah, and it didn't really work as well as we'd all hoped, and it's not back this year. And that's not to say it won't come back in the future, but yeah, the camera angle, the stone throw was off. The replay camera angle looked better. Yeah, I saw a lot of comments about that. The camera wasn't right for it, which made it even harder to watch.
Here we go.
Yeah. Marina Del Rey, thank you so much for the super chat. Props to Rogue for trying. Same events get a little boring to watch since you know the guys who tend to dominate them. This was a wild card.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. But obviously no one wants to lose it on a wild card event. You know, with certain things, they can do everything that they can. But it definitely seemed to favour people with certain levers, taller people. Yeah, it was a bit weird. Yeah.
Mateus being back warms my heart. Classically unhappy with his great performance. That is typical Kilishkovsky.
He's so funny.
Let's think about this though, right? He won 3 events, and really he underperformed on them.
Yeah, he did.
Based on what he's done in the past.
Yeah.
So he's come back. It's great to see him back.
Yeah.
I think it's brilliant that he's got through a competition unharmed, and I think his confidence is going to build from this, which is exciting.
So.
You know, and let's think about this, right? Kilishkovsky's back in Strongman. Next year at the Arnolds, we're going to have Thor. I spoke to Lissis this morning. He said he wants to come back next year.
Wow.
You could potentially have Novikov in this competition as well, plus Mitch, plus Trey. What an era of Strongman.
Yeah. It's crazy. The depth of talent.
Yeah. It's exciting. Rogue really needs to get some mods for the live chat next year. For the sport to grow, got to make the live chat less rage inducing. Do you know what? I just don't look at it. But yeah, they probably.
It's awful. Yeah.
I don't want to see. I'm kind of scared to look.
Don't look, because it's just vile. There's so many people. They're just so unkind and unnecessarily unkind. Like, I can't imagine how small and sad you must be to try and make other people feel bad. Don't know. There you go.
I can't see these as being true Strongman fans.
Some of the names I recognise as being people who comment on our streams and are perfectly fine with us, and then very rude about Strongman. Not like, I'll tell you some names later. There you go. Ryan, thank you for the super chat. This weekend made me so happy to be part of the strength community. How would you recommend meeting more like-minded people?
Before Liz said that, I'd like to say kind of being a member of our channel.
Not a lesbian, I should point out. Not a member, but just like, you know, usernames that I occasionally see pop up.
Okay, well, I've seen people kind of give me shit on here before, and you.
Yeah, exactly.
So if they're like that, then, you know, whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, no, yeah. I mean, we have a lovely community, and earlier we were having pictures with groups of them together, and
so nice to meet some of the people that we kind of recognize on here.
Yeah.
Met a couple of my clients I hadn't met before, which was really nice.
It's quite a small world, the Strongman one, though, isn't it? We bump into a lot of the same people all the time. So, join a Strongman gym if there's one local to you. And just having friends that are into the same thing is nice, isn't it? And you don't even have to be strong. You don't, do you? Because everything's like loadable.
Yeah. Kevin's deadlift, though. Kevin's deadlift was fantastic, wasn't it?
I felt bad for Kevin in the over because, the frame, I know he was so disappointed with how the frame carry went, but happy for him today. Obviously, he broke his own record on the replica Dinny Stone walk, so that was good to see.
Yeah. El Press Cat, thank you for the super chat. Reading people not liking the stone throw online. It seems, a couple of people seem to like it. A couple of people think it went on too long.
Yeah.
I personally just think there's better throwing events.
Yeah.
It's my own personal view. Especially now, say like a sandbag toss, athletes can get hold of them, they try them. It's one of those events. It was worth trying something new.
Yeah. Yeah, and we do love that about Rogue and the Arnolds. They are willing to try new things, and they draw on history of strength as well. Like Jan Todd is literally a doctor in the subject, so
Great to see you featuring Liz in the background. Liz forces her way into the foreground.
No, great to see you featuring Liz in the background. Like I was in the back. Well, that's good. It was the way they did it. The coach was only allowed to stay in one place, and you could be there to give them their bits. In my case, it was filming their lifts. So and I was quite lucky that Loz had 3 athletes. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm coach for them too. Bobby doesn't need my help. None of them need my help. But
Andrea
nice
likes having you there because you can take a lot of pressure off her and just do things.
Yeah.
Whereas Mitch is fine.
Mitch is fine. Mitch just likes someone to chat to. Me and Mitch spend a lot of time talking out back. Bobby doesn't need me at all. But if Bobby needed anything, I'd be there. And I filmed his lifts. He wanted me to film his lifts for him. So there you go. I helped.
Good to see the ladies on the same platform as the men. Shame about how rude a lot of the people were on the Rogue live stream.
Yep.
I said, I have not looked. And I won't.
I only looked to see how bad it was. And I was like, man.
When it comes to what I do as well, I care more about what the producers and the organizers think than what people on the Reddit stream think that are commenting.
There's nothing. The Reddit stream's okay. It was.
Sorry, not the Reddit stream.
I was going to say
the Rogue stream.
But
you think it's probably a small percentage of people.
It's a tiny.
I think the majority are just enjoying Strongwoman.
It's literally about 5 to 10 people, and they're just repeating their comments over and over and over again.
Yeah,
and
they probably definitely need to get a moderator.
They do, but I think they do have one who pops up occasionally and deletes some comments. Don't they? Oh.
I think no one just looks.
Do you know what though? There's a couple of people. We have moderators for our live chats. There's a couple of people who'd be more than willing to help out with stuff like that. And it's not about being the thought police. It's just not tolerating anything unnecessarily offensive.
Sure. Kevin Ferris made me laugh after his Dinny record breaker. Should go so far. Now I'll have to go further next year. I thought the same about Trey on the stone.
I said that. I said, don't do a 5th because next year he's now got to do 6. Yeah. Stop Trey. But
he made that stone look easy.
He did.
Good question, this one. Do you find it hard to commentate when you're watching on a screen rather than a direct view of the stage? Some events, yes, particularly something like the throw. The throw, the angle that it kind of was at was really hard to tell how far a stone had gone. So that was difficult. Things like deadlift and log aren't an issue at all because it's easy to see.
Yeah. Honestly, though, I think if you were looking directly at the stage or if you were watching it on a screen, it was impossible to see how people had done on the stone because it's how can you tell the difference between 6'5" and 6'8" when the 6'5" isn't marked? You don't know if it's less or more just by looking. And then there's the roll afterwards, which doesn't count. So it's just, it was hard. I think we were saying, if on screen, it would be good to have a grid overlay with some markers of where the best throws are so far or where that athlete's best throw was. That would make it a lot more watchable online. But
what do we have here?
Really mysterious. Thank you so much for the super chat. Congrats to Mitch, who will also win World's Strongest Man. The frame carry has to be £50 heavier for women next year. £50 lighter for men. Stoltman's disappointed.
I don't think the men's needs to be lighter.
No, definitely not. I think they get it perfect. They have like a few guys finish, a few guys, well, most of the guys move it somewhere up the ramp, and then a couple that can't. And that's kind of a good balance for most events in Strongman.
Yeah. I think some of the guys, just when they get really, really big, their hands swell up and the grip becomes harder.
Yeah.
But I think grip should be a test in Strongman. You know, if you go back to through the years, there's been plenty of people that have finished that frame. Just at the moment, not many guys are.
Yeah.
But it's the exact same frame and same ramp that people have used.
Yeah. Lots of guys are capable of it. It's just you don't necessarily see all those guys in the same competition at the same time.
It's always why I kind of go back to, if we really, really wanted to get like the world's strongest man, you need more than 5 events. Like ideally you want 10 events, and guys tested across everything.
Yeah.
But and that's why I say events are so important, because each competition is different. Each competition has events that suit different athletes, and the guys that go down as the greats are the ones that can win in anything.
Sorry, not into the women. I respect women athletes. It's just my preference. Does that make me a troll?
No, not at all.
Going online and absolutely ripping apart a woman's appearance and everything about her character is being a troll.
Yeah,
I don't care if you don't like it. No, that's fine.
That's not a problem at all.
Going online and abusing women is what makes someone a troll or a sad person.
Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with having an opinion and not enjoying something.
There's loads of sports I don't like, and that doesn't make me a troll. But you know, it's the directed nastiness that is
when people are kind of absolutely vulgar about them online, just because they don't appreciate what they do or they don't like it.
Yeah, if you've got nothing nice to say, just say nothing at all. It's so easy just to watch
plenty of things I don't like, but I'm not going to go and physically comment about them or like make remarks about these people. You're entitled to like what you like, and if you just like watching the men, and look, there's women out there that just like watching the women.
Yeah.
There's probably men out there that just like watching the women, and vice versa. There's plenty of strongman fans that appreciate both. You do not have to like it. It doesn't make you a bad person.
No.
But when you go online and
out of your way
you start kind of putting this abuse towards them and directing it at them, then that makes you a troll. And I think that makes you a sad person as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But not liking something, no, not at all. That's not a problem. And no one should think that is a problem.
Yeah. Click on Ken's comment there. Best moment was after Luke furred the log. He came back and cranked up the crowd. Yeah, like he only had to do 2. But let's
remember this small log is 175.
I know, it's still so heavy, like really
not
heavy
far
for
off
reps.
400 pounds.
Yeah, and I think he needed that mental boost after what happened with the heavier log. He showed that.
It was funny watching it because it was okay. Luke will come out and do 2 reps, and then he like go do 3. I was like, okay, stop now, Luke. And then he did 4, and you could see the crowd start responding. Like, all right, Luke, keep going.
Yeah, you need this, and I think it was good for him. He was out of the running for the overall win and all of that. So why not put on a show and just do what you love for the crowd?
It is strange. Like Luke and Tom are great. They're really good guys,
and they're so nice to the fans. They go out around the side, they stand there for ages having their pictures taken, and they're not like asking you for money for it or anything. They're just genuinely nice people. They are. Hey, Jack. Jack's on a live stream.
Jack's on live. How you doing, buddy?
Absolute shocker.
Jack's someone that would like to try the Austrian oak. I'm sure one day he will get an opportunity.
Look, click on Really Mysterious's comment. That was my comment Pa responded to. I responded back to him saying I wasn't disappointed in the Stoltmans, just as a fan. That's exactly as I took it, Really Mysterious. Yeah. I thought, like you were disappointed for them. I didn't think it was a malicious comment at all. So I was a bit surprised it was singled out. But
I think sometimes people take things the wrong way as well.
Sometimes we're all a little bit sensitive.
When we type, there's no emotion that comes across as well.
There's no tone, is there? So it can be taken the wrong way, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. We got a super sticker. Thank you, JP Smith.
It's a shame it doesn't show on the screen.
Well, we can look at it. You scroll through. I will look at it.
Ooh. What have we got? really great to see the comp live and the ladies too. Yeah, that was the best thing. Like, so for so many years, everyone was like, I can't believe Rogue don't also stream the women. But Rogue didn't put on the competition for the women. That belonged to Strongman Corp. So this is the first year it's been both run by the same organisers.
I've seen lots of positive comments about it.
Oh, yeah, so many.
Like,
yeah.
Well, I haven't seen comments. I've had messages, lots of positive messages.
Yeah. There have been a lot of positive comments as well. Ben Ash, thank you for the super chat. What exactly counts as dropping the deadlift bar? Yeah, so if you open your hand at the top, that's a drop. If you go down with it and just let it go on its way down, that's okay.
Yeah, basically, they were told in a rules meeting they have to kind of lower it down, and they could let go like once it was
on the lower,
knees,
yeah.
But you couldn't just drop it from the top.
You can't drop it from a standing point. No.
And I loved the way when
she
Rebecca came back,
yeah,
that was good.
Bless her. She's kicking herself. But it's one of those things, isn't it? Like, you get a bit excited in the moment. It happened to Eddie Hall.
Yeah. Pulse, Andrea, she was awesome on the log event. Yes, she was. It was really interesting as well because she came to train with us a couple of weeks ago.
And she freaked out when
she was like, I need 7 reps. I was like, you don't need 7 reps.
No,
you don't. You need 5 reps.
Yeah.
And
she's like, but 90 seconds. Yeah. It's like, yeah, but people still need to be strong enough to do that many reps. An extra 30 seconds isn't going to make them strong enough to do an extra
the one thing I helped her with more than anything on that was make her understand how to pace herself.
Yes. Yeah.
Because she came to training and she tried to blast out reps as quick as possible.
You're going to
burn out. So what we did was focus on a rep every kind of 20 seconds. To focus on saving energy and pacing herself through the whole thing. We thought the biggest opposition would come from Inez.
Yeah.
I was extremely impressed with Olga's improvement.
Olga's so consistent. I felt terrible.
But one thing I will say about Inez's technique is it requires more all-over body strength. Yeah. Because she jerks the log. You will either make it look easy when you jerk it, or suddenly your body just stops getting it. Whereas because Andrea is so strong in the shoulders and triceps, she has that ability to keep pressing out reps.
Yeah.
So with that kind of weight, I expected Andrea to win the log as long as she got the pacing right, and she did. But every single comp, the athletes improve.
They do.
They all do. I mean, Andrea broke the record on the deadlift and came 3rd.
Yeah.
And her and Victoria could have done more.
Yeah.
It's just amazing to watch. And, Victoria, I kind of said beforehand how she was the heavy favourite. But after day one, she was really struggling.
Yeah.
She came back and she dominated.
Won every event after that. And that was all it took in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was incredible. If Rebecca had Andrea's skills, how good would her log be? And said that, yeah.
If Rebecca had Andrea's skills, how good would her log be? Well, Rebecca's going to keep improving. She's going to keep improving, but all of the athletes keep improving. So it's hard to say. Rebecca and Andrea are built very differently, completely different physiques, which requires different techniques. You can't teach everyone to lift something the same way.
No.
Andrea's much shorter in the arms. She's got the widest shoulders you'll ever see. Rebecca's going to be one of those athletes that require more leg power on her overhead. She's not going to be able to have that tricep and shoulder power, but that doesn't mean you can't be good. It's just finding the best way for you. What you don't always want to do is copy someone that's built completely different to you. You're better off looking at an athlete that has a very similar physique and looking at the way they lift things and improve that technique that way. You watch some under 80 kilo lifters, for instance, or under 90 kilo lifters, completely different to the heavyweights.
Yeah.
They're figuring out the best way for them physically.
The question underneath is a good one, so we should click on that. If Brian wins World's Strongest Man this year, what would be more impressive? Hooper winning Arnold in his rookie year, or Brian winning his 5th at his age? I think Brian winning his 5th would be more impressive.
Yeah, personally. I think so.
Because not only would he break the record for the oldest, he'd break the record for the longest gap in between wins, because he last won in 2016, which was 7 years ago. The longest gap so far is 2 years, and that's Magnus Fur. He won in 91, then he didn't win in 92, 93. He won again in 94. That's the longest gap between wins for anyone. So, it's a huge ask. I think people, a lot of Brian fans think, yeah, but it would be a huge ask, and it would be incredible if he did it, wouldn't it?
It'd be amazing.
Yeah. oil beef. And thank you for the super chat. We should start a petition to get Matej to work with Sebastian Oreb, get that deadlift sorted. The problem for Matej, he suffered a lat tear in 2021, and it's just
it's like, more mental than anything.
Yeah, he's scared to push. The minute he starts, like, it's a really heavy weight pulling, he's scared that it's going to re-injure. You tore your lat, and your deadlift is never the same since, was it?
No.
So it's something you know about from personal experience. So it's not so much just a technical issue. Like, it's fine having all the technique, but if you can't get over that mental barrier, you're never going to be able to push on it anyway. Thank you, Rock, for the super chat. Congrats to Team Loz, was great to see. My issue with Tom and Luke isn't getting beats. That happens. They don't show up physically to win. They didn't show up ready physically. They weren't physically ready to win, but that's not to say they didn't try.
They showed up and were in as good a shape as they could possibly be at this time. Tom has a hip issue, which is holding him back. Luke's training went exceptionally well. When you kind of, I spoke to him beforehand, you watch his videos, Luke's training was good. I mean, he manhandled a 195 kilo log a few weeks ago and made it look easy.
Yeah.
He came in, it didn't go his way on the day. You could say this, like Pavlo Nekonechny zeroed the deadlift.
Yeah, I know. Who would have envisioned that happening?
I've been at comps where my best events, and I was like super confident. I remember when I won the Giants Live North America, I did a frame carry. And frame carry for me was a really good event.
Always.
And I just messed it up.
Yeah.
I think I ended up coming 7th or 8th on an event that I should
have won.
9 times out of 10, I should be 1st or 2nd.
Yeah.
Messed up, super disappointed. But I moved on and I actually ended up winning the stones. I beat Trey Mitchell on the stones in that competition. And I would never beat Trey Mitchell on the stones. It's just, you never know what's going to happen in a competition. Now, I totally agree they weren't at their best.
No.
They've had that time off, but they got in as good a shape as they possibly could for this competition.
And just don't forget, with each passing year, like, it gets harder, and the other athletes get better. So to take time off, it's hard to come back.
Yeah,
maybe
you take a risk when you take time off. I mean, Lysis is taking time off now. Now he'll set a time when he comes back, and it worked out last time when he came back to the road. He won, but it doesn't mean he will. Sometimes having that gap, as you get older,
the sport's moved on without you as well, and the numbers are getting bigger. The guys are getting better. It's hard to come
There's
back.
so many factors when it comes into sport that we can't control, and it is tough. And I understand kind of watching, especially if you're kind of invested in athletes, you want them to do well, and you feel disappointed if they don't do well. But believe me, no one is more disappointed than the athlete themselves.
Yeah, because they have such high expectations of themselves. You've just missed a super chat. Andrew, thank you for the super chat. Mitch could get all 3. Arnold's World's Strongest Man, Rogue. Yeah.
He wants to do all 4. In his words, he wants to win the Arnold's, World's, Rogue, and the Shore Classic. So that would be a good year.
That would be a hell of a year. Hello from the road.
She thought you were wearing a wedding dress, but it's just a jumper.
I'm wearing a wedding dress.
You've got she has a cushion, a pillow around her. Hey, Monica. Thank you for getting me drinks yesterday.
Hello from the road. There we go.
What have we got? Sorry, just trying to catch up, see if you see anything. You guys just having conversations.
Yeah. This one, let's address this. Reddit was great until the Mitch speech, then it descended into civil war. So for anyone who missed it, let's give a quick lowdown on what happened. Mitch, bless him, so a week or so ago, Mitch went on to Reddit. He really engages with fans. I felt so bad for him. And he set up this fun thing, like, you guys vote for funny things I should say on the stream that's not going to make me lose sponsors. And the ones with the most upvotes, I'll try and fit them in. So he mispronounced Loz's name as requested, called him Coach Laz. He said, thanks, Kaz, after the end of an interview with Kiki. He said, to infinity and beyond. Yeah, so it was really funny. Afterwards, he wins. He's super emotional, exhausted. He's trying to think of what he's supposed to be saying. And he misspoke when he was asked a question about, what does this mean to you? And he's like, no, it doesn't mean that much. And what he meant to say was, in the grand scheme of things, because I had like, this is one part of everything that I want to achieve. And he just, like, when someone shoves a microphone and a camera's in your face under good circumstances, it can be really hard to come out with a coherent answer, can't it? Like, and he actually struggles with public speaking as well. A lot of people probably don't believe him, but he does. And then it just descended into chaos on Reddit, which I thought was really disappointing to see. And someone said, you know, all of you guys criticized Brian when he took down Arnold's poster, but that's what you're doing to Mitch right now. And I thought that was quite a good comparison. But Mitch went on last night, because he's obviously seen the comments and been a bit upset by them, to clear his name, which he shouldn't have to do. But I understand, like, people getting upset, but you shouldn't, like, suddenly tarnish someone, you know, like, go after them because you disagree with something they say. Like, everyone's human. To err is human. I say stupid shit every day.
It's hard when you're in the public eye.
It's so hard, yeah.
Like, especially you and me, especially you just speak without thinking half the time.
Well, yeah. My mouth runs faster than my brain, but that's just who I am. And sometimes I'll say something stupid.
It's strange, because as a coach, the most important thing to me as a coach is the person. I care more about the person and them being okay than winning, which a lot of people don't really understand. But when you develop a relationship with these people, they become your friends. And I've been doing this sport for 20 years. I understand how it is mentally tough. I understand how being in the public eye can be mentally tough. I understand the disappointment you can go through, the highs and lows. And Mitch, just like everyone else, is a human. You know, he goes through emotional times. He's been on the phone to me in private times where mentally he struggles. And a lot of people won't see that. They'll see this confident guy in front of everyone.
There's a very vulnerable side to him that...
And it's not just Mitch. Literally everyone I met, to a certain degree in the fitness industry, is a little insecure.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the reasons a lot of us do this lifting and stuff like this is to try and build that self-esteem. And sometimes... I mean,
they say or do the wrong thing.
There's other things in their head.
Yeah, they're not thinking about what's actually coming out of them.
You know, a month ago, we weren't sure Mitch was going to compete. So there's times you kind of don't see what goes on behind the scenes that, you know, we kind of, and I'm not just talking about Mitch, so many of the athletes.
Yeah.
And it's why sometimes I get quite protective of them.
Yeah.
You know, I criticize an athlete's performance, or I'll give feedback on a performance, because I'm in a position where I believe I can, because I've been there and done it before.
Yeah.
I'm not sat here saying I'm better than these guys.
No,
not by any means. And hopefully most of them take it quite in a positive way, because at the end of the day, I want them to be better. You know, I've said things about pretty much all the guys now. A good example, I guess, more recently is Evan Singleton. I genuinely love Evan Singleton. I think he makes mistakes in terms of training, and
it's cost him.
And sometimes he might take it the wrong way, but it's genuinely said through love and care. I want him to not go through some of the things that I went through, and I want him to achieve the results that he wants to achieve. And I'll say it to my clients and anyone that will listen, because sometimes you can put too much stress on yourself and too much pressure on yourself, and that can then lead to, you know, real mental issues down the line. And you know, I just saw a comment actually from someone who has had a lot of poor things happen to him. You know, really mentally tough things have happened to Luke over the last few years. But Luke is an incredible athlete and someone we all want to see back. So nice to see you on here, buddy. Thank you very much for commenting. I hope recovery's going well, and thank you very much, mate. It was an emotional weekend for sure.
Yeah. Michael, thank you for the super chat. I was excited to see Mel be first on the Wheel of Pain and her Canadian deadlift record. Great show by both men and women, but especially the women. Great commentary by Loz and his team. That's nice.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Mel, like the women who usually compete in, you know, weight classes, being in the mix with the open weight women, like they're brilliant, aren't they? They're so good. They don't complain. They just get on with it. Alpress Cat, thank you for the super chat. How about throwing this?
That's a good event. That would be a good event.
Yeah, we could do that. I'm sure. We'll speak to Jan. Lots of people welcoming Luke.
Nice to see Luke on.
Yeah, it's nice to have you on, Luke.
Thank you
We should
very
get him
much
on
for joining
properly at
us.
some point.
Yeah, we'll have a chat with Luke soon.
Yeah, chinwag. Finest Jelly Beans, thank you for the super chat. Loz remaining calm and impartial for 2 days, but clearly losing it at Andrea's frame was heartwarming. Also, the road chat didn't even have sex bots. I know.
Outrageous.
I know. Like the worst of humanity, but not the best of the internet. So.
It's one of the hardest things about doing the commentating.
Is trying to be professional.
Yeah, and I try my best, but I'm still human. And obviously, you know, these athletes mean a lot to me. So if I do lose it, I apologize. But yeah, it's I do try and stay as impartial as possible.
I try not
running
to.
Backstage, giving them hugs.
Yeah, when I'm filming something, I just, like the last thing I want to hear when I'm editing is my stupid voice screaming over the mic. But sometimes it just comes out, and I can't help it.
Women are just as strong as men.
Not if you put them all in the same competition, but women are capable of incredible things. Like, you know, the weights, some of the weights that the women are lifting now are what the men were lifting 40 years ago. Yeah. Marina Del Rey, thank you for the super chat. What's the balance between being big enough to do monster static lifts, but also having the stamina for other events?
That all is individual. And this is something I chat to people about all the time. Just because Hafthor can weigh 180 kilos and be lean doesn't mean I can, or Luke Richardson can, or Evan Singleton can. You know, you've got to find the right weight for you. And you'll find that there's a weight that's right for getting that balance of being really strong and still having good conditioning. And you'll kind of get that tipping point where static strength might be good, but other things kind of suffer. For me, when I was kind of a pro, I'd probably say my best competitive weights were between 150 and 160 kilos. 160 kilos would be better for more real heavy static comps, 150 more for moving and speed and fitness. I've been as heavy as 170, and at 170 my squat and my press got better, but my deadlift got worse and my moving went terrible, my fitness was terrible, and actually ended up being a worse all-round athlete. At 140 kilos, I was really fast and fit, conditioning was good, but maybe lost a little bit of that top end strength. So there's kind of a weight range for each individual athlete that seems to be best. And just because one guy is 180 kilos doesn't mean that you should be 180 kilos.
Yeah.
See anything good?
What's this? Strongman, Strongwoman is the greatest sport there is. It's loyal, protective, friendly, and supportive. I love this community. It's a shame there are people who try to ruin it. The more the sport grows, unfortunately, the more weirdos will attract. But, you know, it's one of those things, isn't it? And we have to just be bigger than them. Probably shouldn't feed them at all. But it would be nice if Rogue had some mods. I'm sure there'd be loads of people who'd be willing to do that for free if they're sat there watching the stream and chat anyway.
We've got a few moderators that help us, haven't we?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Especially during World's Strongest Man. It's so hard to keep up with the chat comments, and the biggest issue we have actually is sex bots.
My boys at Swindon Arm Crusaders missed me tonight.
Oh.
I will see you guys next week.
Loz's arm wrestling group.
I'm getting better now.
Good.
I know.
Yeah. Click on Spencer's. There we go. Thank you for the super chat, Spencer. What about a toss event like the Highland Games, but a boulder on the end? Also having the women make the whole event better because it was all day. Yeah, like there was no downtime. It was straight in and from one to the next. But a toss, but a boulder on the end. A boulder on the end of what? Like a caber toss with a boulder on the end. Sounds dangerous.
It does sound dangerous.
There are loads of throwing events, though, aren't there? Like,
yeah,
we've seen a lot of them in Strongman, but I guess you could say that all throwing events are very technical. It just so happens that some have featured quite heavily over the years, so the guys are good at it because they know to train it. I'm sure if they train this, they'd all get better, but it doesn't necessarily mean it would be a good visual event.
Sure.
Yeah, Alprez Cat, thank you. I think Victoria's turned on the God mode switch day too, and she had to. Like anything less, she wouldn't have won it. You know, if Olga had come second or first on the frame, Olga would have won overall. So Victoria did absolutely everything she could, and it was enough. So
I'm not against this suggestion.
Using washing machines. Do you know what? Yeah, a washing machine, a fridge.
It would be carnage, but the problem with throwing a washing machine is it'll just start to break as you kind of throw it.
Yeah, and it's not going to go that far. Although we've seen Jonas and Thor throw them pretty
On
far.
Guinness World Records.
They're so tall, though, aren't they? You need a lot of clearance for an item like that. It's so big. It's ridiculous, though, really.
It would just smash up. But I've seen some really weird throwing events before. I've actually seen midget tossing.
You're not supposed to say that.
I know, but that's what it was called at the
Little
time.
people tossing.
Little people tossing, which was odd. I wasn't sure about that one. Yeah. I've only seen it on like the internet. I've not seen it in person or even tried it myself.
Yeah.
Although I do throw Alexa quite a bit.
There we go. Really mysterious, thank you. I wanted Becca to win. Sam's crushed the small log. Yes, Sam was brilliant on that log. She was really emotional afterwards. That meant a lot to her. But I mean, Becca.
She loved the weekend, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. She came in, she caught a cold. She was so disappointed for Maxime. They're trying to move and it's a huge inconvenience. So she was a little bit down, but yeah, she loved it. And Sam's just a nice person to be around. And Becca is a future champion for sure. She needs
she's a former world champion.
Exactly, but a future Arnold's champion, I mean. Like, she loses a bit of points on some of the static events right now, but once it all comes together for her, because she's strong enough, it's just, you know, like you said, technique on the log and things like that. She's going to be a real force.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sarah, is she the only person that liked the stone throw? She knows Pa didn't like it. I don't think you're the only person.
No.
But it just seems to be the majority weren't so keen. Including me.
Bobby is looking so trim. He looks so much healthier, and I think it's helping with his confidence and athleticism. It's affected his overall performance level.
I keep saying it, but I have been so impressed working with Bobby. He does exactly what he's told, which not all pros do, not all clients do.
No.
But Bobby does. He trusts the process. He's fitter than he's ever been. He's improving in weaker areas. Still lots to work on leading up to World's Strongest Man.
It was an uphill struggle for Bobby, unfortunately.
After the first event.
Yeah.
Bobby's performance kind of... I expected him to struggle on the Wheel of Pain. I knew he had a good chance of winning the log and the deadlift, and unfortunately got disallowed a rep on the log, but still second on the log, won the deadlift. His throw was better than I expected.
Yeah.
He was probably the shortest athlete to do as far as he did.
Yeah, to go so
and the frame is something we've been working hard on. It's not been a great event for him in the past, but
this wasn't bad points for him on this event, though, to be fair.
And super proud of him getting a top 3 place.
Why were the women so good on the frame, Lozo? Because it was a bit light for them.
Honestly, I think the frame was just a little bit light. They're so good, and I think the Arnold's team that ran this competition haven't had much experience with the ladies before, and I think going forward they will have. I've even offered to help in terms of weights that should be selected for events and stuff. But yeah, I think it could have been 20 kilos heavier, would have been a little bit better.
Yeah, agreed.
Ken Capra?
This is a super chat. I don't know why it's separate, but thank you. Magnus's 2-year gap is great trivia, as the time in between was the tallest champ ever and then the shortest champ ever. Yeah, of course. Gary Taylor and Ted van der Paar, tallest and shortest.
Yeah.
They went Ted then Gary, didn't they? Yeah.
That's an interesting one.
There you go. How odd. Oh, apparently I didn't have you loud enough in the car. Don't worry, Magnus. We've not been talking about you.
We haven't mentioned Magnus at all.
No, we haven't. Which is usually a good sign.
Which means it must be a good thing.
Would that be the Cooper Grand Slam if he won all 4 of those competitions?
If you win the Arnolds and Worlds, that's considered good enough.
That puts you in a very small group of very good people, yeah. I think Evan and Adam Bishop would have torn up the Arnolds this year. It'd be good to see, like, we're used to seeing similar-ish lineups at Arnold's and Rogues. It would be nice, but
that's interesting. Is like, who do you guys think should be at the Arnolds?
Yeah,
because obviously only 10 athletes go to the Arnolds. Like, you look at Evan's training right now; he's looking really strong.
I would have loved to see Evan.
Adam at Britain's this year was unbelievable. The problem for Adam last year wasn't so good. Problem for Evan last year wasn't so good. Right now they're in great shape, and if they can kind of take this forward, do some big performances and comps, then hopefully they'll get the invites for next year.
Yeah, because Evan did get an invitation to the Rogue Invitational after having an incredible year the year before, but unfortunately he got injured before and couldn't go, and then you end up off the radar again if you don't come back and do anything special. So it's just.
But we've got so many great athletes. I mean, I'd always like to see Hicksy at the Arnolds.
Yeah. It seems like
you've got to sort of put those performances in to get that foot in the door and get that invite.
Yeah.
This one,
Charles. Thank you for the super chat, Charles. I know it won't happen, but it would be such an amazing story to see Mark Felix retire with a win at his last World's Strongest Man. I would eat my hat, a very large one. No, it won't happen. I think if Mark could make the final, that would be one of the most impressive achievements he could do this year, I think, to be honest. To make the final would be huge. To win the final would be not impossible.
I would go as far as to say impossible. I mean, it's not impossible because he's in the competition. So yes, there's
technically it's a 1 in 30 chance.
There's a slim chance.
Yeah, it's Mark would love to make the final. Let's put it that way. I think lots of fans.
If Mark made the final, the strongman community would go.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, especially if it's not one of those. Oh, he made the final because the group fell apart. So and so was injured. Yeah. If he's in a fair group and has the same chances as everyone else, and he makes the final, then yeah, the internet will lose their collective minds. Me, I'll be running around and it would be great.
The Halo music everywhere.
Oh, the Halo music. We'd be playing it out in full.
Still giggling at what Mitchell said after winning. It's just another contest. I can't imagine you saying that, Lawrence, if you won the Arnolds. No, I wouldn't say that. But I mean, it's funny. I had this chat with Mitch afterwards, and it almost comes too easy to Mitch. For me, when I won Europe's Strongest Man, that was after multiple injuries, multiple close times where I'd done really well and kind of had knockbacks. So it was a prolonged effort, and eventually I got there. So yeah, it meant so much to me. But don't get me wrong, like this means a lot to Mitch. But he's just so freakishly talented. Annoyingly so. He's annoyingly good at everything he does.
Yeah.
And I mean that with much love to him because he's a great friend of mine now. We've become very, very close. But I'm a competitive person. I'm an athlete and I like to win. And we've I think Liz has seen this before with Mitch. We went bowling and Mitch wasn't very good at bowling actually, was he?
You beat him at bowling.
And you could see it. It upsets him.
Hates it. And then suddenly we're in the arcade and doing the basketball and he won that and he was happy again.
We had the most epic game of giant Jenga you've ever seen where it came down to the very, very last move that was possible. Like I think there's video footage of this game of Jenga. It was unbelievable. And I don't know why I'm talking about Jenga like this because it's just a game of Jenga. But it was a very competitive game. And the bugger beat me. And I was disappointed.
Shocking.
But yeah, he's just one of those guys really good at whatever he does. Very competitive.
Ron Chopped, thank you for the super chat. Spent a lot of time defending Mitch. Most of those were people who are not usually on Reddit. Lots of trolls yesterday that came over from YouTube. Yeah, it's a shame. Some of our very nice members went over to Reddit on my advice. Unfortunately, whenever there's a big competition, you get people on Reddit who aren't usually there because they want somewhere to spew their nonsense. Most people are fine.
Rocker, thank you for becoming a member.
Loud minority. Yes. Thank you, Rocker. There we go.
Elizabeth was telling people off in Polish and English.
Well done, Elizabeth. There we go. That's funny.
There we go.
Haven't we all said something that was misunderstood or misinterpreted? People
I
are
say
so aggressive.
Stupid stuff all the time.
God, yeah.
And then people kind of pull me out on it. I don't even remember saying it half the time.
Well, 99% of people are lucky that the stupid things they say aren't recorded with a camera and, in public. And to err is human. He's a 27-year-old man. He's young, and I don't want to sound condescending, but he's young and he's been thrown into the spotlight very quickly and he doesn't actually like being in the spotlight as much as he's trying to embrace it. And yeah, he's not perfect.
Hey Loz, with the current field of athletes, do you think you'd do well if you were in your prime? would you want to be competing in this current era rather than where you were? I competed in a pretty strong era, I think.
So Jonathan Brown and Thor.
And if you look at my best lifts, if you put them in comps, they'd still be competitive. But it's, like I said, it's tough. You go to every comp, different winner. You know, the standard's so high. You just off your game slightly. You know, people are kind of having a go at Tom. Tom hit a PB on the log.
Yeah.
Let's think of it that way. Tom hit a competition log PB, and we're giving him crap about not being in shape. His deadlift's down. He's got a hip issue, which affects the frame carry as well. His throw was maybe a little bit down on what you'd expect from such a tall guy.
Yeah.
But he went to the competition, did the best that he could.
He didn't drop out.
It wasn't like he was
trying.
terrible.
No.
And he's going to keep working hard. I'm sure 5 weeks' time at World's Strongest Man, Tom might be the winner. Trey might be the winner. Novikov might be the winner. Pavlo might be the winner. You just don't know.
This goes to show that often different competitions suit different athletes. That's not unusual. Mariusz Pudzianowski was always incredible at Worlds and not so good at the Arnolds. Derek Poundstone won the Arnolds twice, couldn't win World's Strongest Man. Yeah, and it happens the other way around too. So, yeah. Sable, thank you for the super chat. Thanks for the coverage. Awesome commentary from Loz. Do you guys think they'll keep the stone throw for next year?
No, I don't think they will.
No.
If I'm honest, from what I've heard, I'd be surprised if it was back.
Yeah, but it's exciting to think what might they put in instead. So, could it be a returning fan favorite, or could it be something brand new again? Got to love Gabby Dixon. Gabby's so lovely. She's such a joy.
Just such a lovely lady.
Yeah, she's genuinely just so happy to be there and be involved and be on that stage. And she never disappoints, does she? No, I think it's just...
if he did, then he's the most generous guy in the world. I just don't know how much that translates to.
It's not, because otherwise it would be stickied up to the end of time. Okay. It's, no.
But any donation is very, very much appreciated.
And we never expect you at Super Chat, so we do appreciate them. Thank you.
Thank you to members. Thank you to people that just like the video. All of those things help us. So, you know, we really appreciate it.
Yeah. Congrats, Lawrence, on having your first client to win the Arnold's Classic in his rookie year.
It's very, very, it's a real privilege to coach these amazing athletes.
Yeah.
I love coaching all my athletes. You know, I have athletes here that don't even compete, and it was good to see them and spend some time together. Yeah. And obviously it's great seeing athletes like Mitch and Bobby and Andrea do so well. Coaching something I've done for 20 years. It's not like something I just set up.
Yeah, straight after 2019.
I enjoy it so much at all levels.
Oscar won the Arnold Amateur and secured a pro card. Looking forward to seeing him compete with Mateusz.
Been impressed with him.
Yeah, he's done well. Yeah, no, it is good for him. So look forward to seeing what he can do. Spectrum. Thank you for the super chat. It's a shame World's Strongest Man won't stream like the Arnolds did, but bring on Big Loz and Auntie Liz and your World's Strongest Man spreadsheet. You'd miss the spreadsheets.
We've got lots of World's Strongest Man stuff planned.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Yeah.
Hopefully you guys will join us and it will be fun to watch.
The refresh parties, the weight parties.
All the parties.
All the parties. Liz and Loz, thank you for an entertaining weekend watching the competition online. I hope to attend in person next year. Thank you, Rachel. Really appreciate your super chat. Yeah, it's been great. It's been great meeting people, hasn't it? People are so nice. Fred was there, obviously. Monica, a few other channel members. Ashley, who got emotional when she met us last year. Just people are so lovely.
It's Ashley who was taking the picture of us.
Blue hair.
Yeah.
Bless her. Okay. Manacle Moose. I wish they would show the end with the podium winners and Arnold's talking to them on the stream. Not sure why they don't. Love the comp. Yeah, they don't. I've got some of it on the video that went up earlier today with the award ceremony, like from what I could get from the angle I was stood at. So, and I'm sure some of the other athletes, it might be on Mitch's channel, so worth checking out. Because I know Fabian was running around.
Absolutely agree with that. Add £50 to the women's freeing.
Yeah. Go. Don, thank you for the super chat. I missed day 2, ready to watch now. Then saw the feed. You spoiled it for yourself. Love you guys. Missed you in Daytona. My daughter wasn't up for it. See you next time. Gonna sign off before I see any more spoilers. Oh, wow. Hopefully we haven't ruined anything.
Hopefully if you watched later,
you weren't
Don,
here for long.
you enjoyed the stream.
Yes.
Mitch puts in the work. I can assure you he does. He's the hardest worker in the room. Yeah.
And someone who doesn't want it or who doesn't care doesn't bother to put their body through what these guys put their bodies through. No one does it casually for fun, do they?
No.
No matter what they might say.
Yeah. And here's someone we got to spend some time with this weekend.
Jiminy Crickets. There seems to be a fine line between being too selective and inactive in competition and over-competing. I'm sure it's a case-by-case basis. When you learn that about yourself, what you do matters. Yeah, absolutely. Something like Brian always suited not competing much. So Drinis always loved to compete week in, week out. And yeah, they're just different athletes.
I think it's harder to compete week in, week out now because the standard's so high.
Yeah.
Like,
it's hard to win week in and out.
I say this often because I don't think the top guys are any better right now than they were 10 years ago.
No.
Like Zadrunas, Brian, those guys in their prime, unbelievable. Yeah. And there was a good list of guys that could all be very good back then. So let's say 10 to 20 athletes that were all amazing. The difference now is there's 100 world-class athletes, maybe like probably more than 100. Yeah. There's not weak athletes in any of these competitions. We were saying about let's look at Kevin, for instance. Kevin came 9th this weekend.
Yeah.
You put him in some competitions and Kevin's going to be top 3.
Yeah.
The problem with the Arnolds is everyone is a monster. Everyone is a world-class athlete. So if you are off your game, or even if you don't have any real big weapons, and you guys have heard me talk about weapons before, but you need events that you can beat anyone at. If you are just good and just steadily good at every event, against the best in the world, you just pick up 2 or 3 points. The reason I was able to win international comps was because I had a few events I was unbelievable at, which means no matter what the level of competition, I could get 8, 9, 10 points.
Yeah.
And if you don't have those events where you can kind of beat anyone at, then if you're just picking up 1, 2, 3 points on each event, you're not going to challenge. Whereas you go to a slightly lower level comp and you can look great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're going to try and wrap up now, guys, because we've got to start getting ready for the soiree with Jan Todd. How? Thank you for the super chat. Tom didn't look his best at the Arnolds. How much would you expect him to improve before World's Strongest Man?
So this is a good question. This is a legitimate, fair question. He didn't look good enough to win Worlds right now.
No.
And
he's only
personally,
really got 5 weeks.
Personally, I don't think 5 weeks is going to be enough for him to get in good enough shape to win Worlds. Now, that's my opinion. It doesn't mean it's true.
No.
Okay? He's got 5 weeks to look at the issues. I think he really needs to figure out what's wrong with his hip because he doesn't know for sure. I think it's important that he goes and gets that scanned and understands exactly what's wrong because then he can make a plan of how to address rehab and getting that back to his best. But from what I've seen, at 5 weeks out of Worlds, he won't be my favourite to win Worlds.
No.
Doesn't mean he can't.
No, definitely. Adam, thank you for becoming a channel member. What's this? I don't know what's going on there. Just trying to catch up now, guys, because we promised we'd stop after an hour. Watching the women go, it was so awesome. Can you please explain the elephant bar, Loz, in a 2-sentence summary?
It's a slightly longer bar.
But a bit thicker as well.
Slightly thicker. It pulls very similar to a deadlift bar, but as it gets heavier, there's a little bit more kind of whip. So if you're an athlete that like hitches a lot or kind of yanks at the bar, it can kind of pull you out of position. But it's not as flexible as people think as well. Some people think it kind of really flexes load, like the Hummer-Thai deadlift, for instance.
Yeah.
But the Hummer-Thai deadlift is a lot more flexible, has a much higher starting point when you get the full weight on you. Whereas the elephant bars, it's more a traditional deadlift, just a much longer bar, but the weights aren't actually as far out as people think.
There we go, and we're at the end. Yeah. So I think now is a good time to.
Did you see? Where was it? I don't know where you've gone actually. can wrap it up. I saw a comment and I thought, oh, we should check that. Then I think we've gone past it.
What was it
It was who it was rather than, I didn't read the comment yet. I was going to look at it. Oh, I can't find it. Doesn't matter. We will. Past your comment. I'll try and check that. But okay. Yeah, we'll wrap it up because you need time to get ready.
I do. I really do. And I'm starting to cramp up in this position. I haven't moved. Very uncomfortable.
Right, guys. Thank you for joining us. I hope you've had a great weekend. As always, thank you for any new members. Thank you for everyone that super chatted us. If you would be so kind just to go and like the video, that would be amazing. And we will be back soon, I guess. You've got some good content.
I've got some videos to go up from today, and then we'll do our proper polished summary wrap up as well.
Take care, guys. See you soon.
I'll do the clickies and you do the smiling and waving.